All right, the next problem I'm looking at is question 8, and this is on homework 5A. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this one. It says, find all real and complex solutions for the following polynomial equation. If you have more than one solution for a root type, enter your answers from smallest to largest, separate your answers with a comma, no spaces, and then you can enter NS if there's no solution. So this one says, if we solve for x to the fourth minus 36 equals 0 for x, then it's splitting it up into the real solutions and the imaginary solutions, or zeros. Okay, so what we're going to do for these is we're going to focus on factoring strategies. So in this one, we only have a single x term, and it's x to the fourth. But because it's x to the fourth, you can't just get the x to the fourth by itself and then take the fourth root. You can only do that if you have a square root. So what we're going to try and do here is factor it down as far as we can. And you should be able to notice that we have a difference of squares here. 49 is a perfect square, x to the fourth is a perfect square, and 36 is a perfect square. So I can go ahead and factor this down, and that's what I'm going to do. So when I first factor this down, I'm going to get, this is 7, the square root of 49 is 7, the square root of x to the fourth is x squared. So I'm going to get 7x squared plus, and the square root of 36 is 6, so plus 6. And then I'm also going to have 7x squared minus 6. And that stays equal to 0. And then from here I want to look and see if anything else can be factored further, but it cannot. So what I have here is two binomials set equal to 0. I'm going to set each one equal to 0 and solve, because now I'm down to a square root. Now I can just get the x squared by itself and take the square root. So I'm going to first do the one on the left. So I have 7x squared plus 6 equals 0. So I'm going to get 7x squared equals negative 6 when I subtract that to the other side. I'm going to divide both sides by 7. And so I'm going to get x squared equals negative 6 over 7. So from here I can take the square root of both sides. So I'm left with x equals plus or minus, because we're taking the square root. Now because this is a negative inside, I want to simplify by taking out an I, because I equals the square root of negative 1. I can simplify this to I. And then 6 and 7 are not perfect squares, and they really can't be simplified. So I square root of 6 over 7. Okay, now I'm going to look at this second one right here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just solve. So I get 7x squared. When I move the 6 over, it's going to be equal to positive 6. Divide both sides by 7. I get x squared equals positive 6 over 7. Take the square root. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 6 over 7. So up here it's asking for the real zeros. So real zeros would be the ones without the I, because the I is what makes it imaginary. So for this first one, I'm looking at these solutions right here. And it wants the solutions from smallest to largest, separated with a comma, no spaces, so this is how I entered it. The negative square root of 6 over 7, and then also the positive square root of 6 over 7. That's my first, it's the first one. And then it says the imaginary zeros are, and so I'm looking at these imaginary ones over here. So that would be anything that has an I. So starting first with from least to greatest, so I have negative I times the square root of 6 over 7. And then I also have positive I times the square root of 6 over 7. And that is it.